Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. Today, we'll be talking something very important. But before we get into this video, I am going to let me just refresh your memory. You all remember that there was a time last year or early this year during this what has been going on in Palestine and Israel and all that. And I remember African Americans trying to speak up for Ethiopians and all that over how they are being treated by Israel in Israel, right? And they actually came out to say that Black people are being very nosy with some certain things and they should focus on their lives and leave them alone, that they are very, very good and they are doing absolutely great, right? But as it stands, it looks like, it is not the same thing. And now they are telling us another story, Black people's story, what it is really like to be Black in Israel, right? And why are they actually coming out to tell us that they are also accusing the police for treating them poorly and not being nice to them? I don't think this is new or something, You all remember already that in Israel, Jews and all that are being segregated. But before then, you all remember what happened to especially the Ethiopians, how they were sterilized and all that, and how they were given something that will make them not to have children and all that. Why? Because they do not even want them to grow in numbers and all that. It's really a very terrible story and a very long story. You know what? Let's get into this video.
And discrimination, even when they are in uniform. Thus, in their protests, Israeli Ethiopians accused the police, and the Israeli establishment more broadly, of racism against their community due to their skin color. Notwithstanding the many schisms and tensions characterizing Israeli society, most Israelis still adhere, officially at least, to the idea of eliminating the differences between Jews in the country. Although the term black was used in Israeli discourse even before the establishment of the state, and was attributed to various groups, Israelis do not usually perceive themselves or groups in Israeli society in racial terms. Therefore, the Pe0ple incident, revealing this hidden racial aspect, gained widespread attention in Israel well beyond the Ethiopian community. This was not the first time, however, that blackness was associated with official racism and discrimination in Israel. In 1971, second-generation Mizrahi immigrants living in the poor neighborhood of Musrara in Jerusalem formed the Israeli Black Panther movement. By identifying themselves as blacks, these Mizrahi youngsters alluded to the gap between the official Zionist narrative of ingathering the Jewish exiles and the reality in which some Jews remained outsiders in their home country. For the Israeli Black Panthers, blackness served mainly as a metaphor, whereas for Ethiopian Israelis, blackness is the material fact of their skin color that makes them a target for institutional and systemic discrimination. Being African and black, Ethiopians seem to signify the far edge of Judaism and Zionism. The Ethiopian community, known as Beta Israel, was recognized as Jews by the chief rabbinate in Israel as early as 1973, a decision that qualified them for Aliyah, immigration to Israel. Yet, their Jewishness was often questioned. Many of them were required to go through a full Orthodox conversion. Children were placed in the religious education system to make sure they received proper Jewish education, and the religious establishment did not acknowledge the authority of the community's spiritual leaders. In 1996, an Israeli journalist revealed that the Israeli medical establishment discarded all blood donations given by Ethiopian immigrants out of fear of HIV/AIDS contamination. In Israel, blood donation has symbolic aspects of brotherhood and contribution to the Israeli collective. Categorical rejection of all blood donations from an entire community, therefore, symbolized the exclusion of this community from the Jewish national collective. The blood scandal was a defining moment for Ethiopian Israelis. Clarifying boundaries of belonging, it pushed many in the Ethiopian community to embrace racial self-identification and to affiliate themselves with a global black diaspora. They were inspired by African American celebrities, especially famous rappers and athletes, who signified power and success. Many Ethiopians have also dedicated themselves to studying the history of the Black Power movement as a source of inspiration for their own struggle and resistance. 14 months after being beaten by policemen, the newspapers reported that the Ethiopian soldier Damas Pakada became an officer in the Israeli army. 2 years later, a popular news program on Israeli television featured a segment about the officer Pakada, titled "The Victory of Damas," the battered soldier who became an outstanding officer. Made by the program's Ethiopian reporter Branu Tagin, the segment ended with an optimistic message of self-fulfillment, stating that, despite his difficult experience, Pakada emerged stronger, more connected to his roots, determined to continue to fight for his community and for himself. By embracing their blackness as a source of empowerment, third-generation Ethiopian Israelis reassess their roots. Unlike the second generation, whose identification with African Americans aimed to bypass the backwardness attributed to their parents, Ethiopians today are more open to integrate their grandparents' cultural heritage as an asset rather than a burden. On 24th March 2018, people took part in a protest against the Israelis' plan to deport African migrants in Tel Aviv, Israel. Comments made by Israel's top political and religious leaders earlier in the month are a dismal reminder of how little black lives matter in the country, and how African refugees remain in mortal danger. It was reported in Al Jazeera in that year thus. On March 17th, one of Israel's two chief rabbis, Yitzhak Yosef, called black people monkeys and the Hebrew equivalent of the N-word in his weekly sermon. It further stated that it is highly unlikely that Yosef will face any real repercussions for his racist comments, as he was not demoted after saying in a similar sermon exactly 2 years ago that all non-Jews, Africans, Arabs, or otherwise, could only live in Israel if they agree to serve the country's Jewish population. To be fair, racist comments from state-paid rabbis aren't exactly a rarity in Israel. Israel's other chief rabbi, Yisrael Lau, used the N-word to describe black athletes on his very first day in office on July 2013. But another anti-African comment made also early in the month of the same March 2018 by Israel's most powerful politician was almost certainly timed to coincide with the government's efforts to ethnically cleanse the country of the refugees. On March 19th, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a public speech that the arrival of non-Jewish African refugees was much worse for Israel than severe attacks by Sinai terrorists. Netanyahu's comments come as citizens across the country have been publicly expressing reservations to his expulsion plan. Since the start of the calendar year, Israelis from all walks of life have registered their adamant opposition to the planned deportations that was scheduled to begin on April 1st. In the same vein, the killing of a black Jew sparked another violent protest in Israel in July 2019. It was reported thus: the violent protests that shook Israel on July the 2nd had all the hallmarks of race riots. A young black man had been shot dead by an off-duty policeman in unclear circumstances. Thousands of and discrimination, even when they are in uniform. Thus, in their protests,
this is a message to TikTok. Why is it when it's stuff that's fact-finding and talk about actual stuff to the answers to the questions, which we already know about, but we have material to back up what we're saying, and it's contents that's dealing with that is truthful. If you look at this sketch right here, it's telling that how minorities who are in Israel and under the Jewish community, they have been segregated, and they also try to wipe them out from where they come from, of their ethnicity. They are denied certain type of things. They are always they're giving them Jim Crow laws, restrictions. They walk around with a passport. Certain things that they need, like health-wise, education, food and stuff, they're being pulled away from that. And this is a recent current thing that's been happening. They even gave a flashback moment in the 1970s when they had to do the Black Power movement, better known as the Black Panther movement, which was a guerrilla movement to try to end the segregation, to make it desegregation and integrate, to give them the same syndicate and information that they needed. Now, I understand that TikTok is under the payroll of them, because we already remember there was a man named Jonathan Greenblatt saying that he has signed to various apps and stuff to monitor anybody that's saying anything against his culture or ethnicity. But when we're talking about the truth, because you notice when the situation happened with Palestine, which occurred last year into this month, we noticed that we have not seen any videos of people who are dark-skinned melanin, who are Jewish. And this was an answer to my question. So you put me on for this to be restricted and where it doesn't have any shares and likes. Now, where's my constitutional rights to promote this? This is not stirring hate. This is something that's showing the truth. Now, if they don't want people to put the skeletons out there of their closet, then I think they need to start promoting equality, social justice, also justice in financial and anything in background to give equal opportunity for people. Then their skeletons would not reveal out of their closet. We've seen the segment. Then I noticed that when we talk about Congo, you're pulling the plug with that. Why are we not going and spreading the word around this to let people know? I don't give a damn about no election day. Because at the end of the day, it's the same person who has to end up putting on a face and a mask. And 9 tenths of the time, they're not going to do what they promised they say they're going to do. Okay? It's the same people that play the same game alongside with the ones that's in charge, that's above America. America does not promote democracy. Okay? It promotes racism and fascism because they work alongside with people on the other side of the West that has been doing colonization. So I just asked you that the 2 appeals that I submitted to you, that you don't object it or subject it, but at least in a way allow it to go through, because it's the same content that many other people have done. I am not a follower, but I think this is important for people to listen to. Do you understand me? You guys want me to talk about stuff about celebrities, of all the adjunct and foolishness that they're doing, which is not important. I believe that this is valid for everyone to see what's going on or what's happening in Israel, which they have been doing behind the scenes.
So this is all I got from this. I was trying to check if I would get a longer video for this, like, it looks like it cut off in between or something, but that is it. Now let me say this. I remember when, I was making a lot of research about what is going on in Israel, Palestine, and all that, including Ethiopia, right? How some of them became Jews and all that, and how they were treated, or how they are still being treated, right? I remember a lot of them coming for African Americans, because a lot of African Americans were also telling them how, it looks like you people do not even know your history, and trying to remind them some certain things and all that, how they were sterilized, how they were also given pills and all that so that they will not have, because they were they do not want them to grow and have a lot of people that look like me there. So a lot of them were really very mad and saying that African Americans or black people in general are very nosy, that instead of them to focus on what is going on in their own world, they are busy focusing on what is going on in Israel. So they actually went further to say that they are doing great, that people should not bother about them, that they are the real Jews and all that, that Israel is where the place is, that there is nothing like segregation, like black people are being treated the same way, colored people are being treated and all that. So since then, I was very angry, people that we are trying to shed light to, so that everybody can get their freedom at once and all that. We're denying the people trying to fight for them. I was very mad. I remember a whole lot of them came out. I remember a soldier that came out and she was so mad, very mad, and saying that, what we're saying is that she is Jewish and she doesn't care and she is proud and the rest of it. So a lot of that really got a lot of people upset. So, but now look at what this this video is talking about how they are being treated. You belong in Ethiopia, whether you like it or not. But the truth is that they are not being treated equally the way that they should be treated. And they know it, and they just do not want to admit it. And I see a lot of them also saying that they stand with Israel no matter what. I do not have any problem with where you stand. But I want you to know that you are standing on your own luck. Because you are standing on your own, like, it's just like somebody sitting on his own luck, right? Not until you all are ready to tell the truth about what you all are experiencing, because you all know what is going on. You all can feel it. You all know that you are not being treated equally. You all know that you are being segregated, right? You all can tell that. You can, oh, okay, but then they keep covering up because they believe, most of them believe that, like, the ones that are Christians are like God of Israel and all that. But isn't that really very stupid that some people are very, very ignorant in 2024? Okay, let's say in 2023, because it started in 2023. Very, very ignorant of what is going on around them, or they choose not to speak up, see the truth and speak up. And a lot of them are saying, I love Israel with all my life. I am not Jewish, but I can fight and die for Israel. How dumb. And so we're like, we are brave to come out to talk to Black people, African Americans, to tell them to stay away. So since then, I have actually decided to wash off my hands when something that got to do with Ethiopian, because they actually do not believe that they are Black. Most of them do not believe that, especially the Jews also. So I am going to leave them in their ignorance to keep wallowing there, not until they are ready to, because I cannot start fighting for someone that, first of all, you have to tell me that you want to fight for yourself. So you cannot be the one with log of wood and I am the one fighting. Instead of you to, you have log of wood and you're fighting, you're not even trying to look for a way to remove it. So I can't be the one stressing myself to come and remove it from your eyes. So you have to make an attempt for me to support you. Yeah. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.